threatened. Nothing unreal exists. Herein lies the peace of God. Nothing real can be threatened. Nothing unreal exists. Herein lies the peace of God. Nothing real can be threatened. Nothing unreal exists. Herein lies the peace of God. Okay, tonight we're going to do another reading from A Course in Miracles. This is Chapter 1, and the Chapter 1 is the meaning of miracles, and this section is Section 5, called Wholeness and Spirit. Before we do the reading, I wanted to, there's so much to talk about with all of this. One thing that we can just bring up here right now is, why is A Course in Miracles so hard to understand? Why couldn't it be given in a way that was more understandable, more simple, and just plain the common tongue, like we talk to each other? Why, if it's that important a message, why not just give it a very simple message? That's one very I would say important question about A Course in Miracles. And there's many ways to answer that question. But before we do, why don't we read this, and then we'll maybe talk more about that question after we read this section. This is Wholeness and Spirit. The miracle is much like the body in that both are learning aids for facilitating a state in which they become unnecessary. When spirit's original state of direct communication is reached, neither the body nor the miracle serves any purpose. While you believe you are in a body, however, you can choose between loveless and miraculous channels of expression. You can make an empty shell, but you can not express nothing at all. You can wait, delay, paralyze yourself, or reduce your creativity almost to nothing, but you cannot abolish it. You can destroy your medium of communication, but not your potential. You did not create yourself. The basic decision of the miracle-minded is not to wait on time any longer than is necessary. Time can waste as well as be wasted. The miracle worker, therefore, accepts the time control factor gladly. He recognizes that every collapse of time brings everyone closer to the ultimate release from time in which the Son and the Father are one. Equality does not imply equality now. When everyone recognizes that he has everything, individual contributions to the sonship will no longer be necessary. When the atonement has been completed, all talents will be shared by all the sons of God. God is not partial. All his children have his total love, and all his gifts are freely given to everyone alike. Quote, "Except ye become as little children," unquote, means that unless you fully recognize your complete dependence on God, you cannot know the real power of the Son in his true relationship with the Father. The specialness of God's sons does not stem from exclusion, but from inclusion. All my brothers are special. If they believe they are deprived of anything, their perception becomes distorted. When this occurs, the whole family of God, or the sonship, is impaired in its relationships. Ultimately, every member of the family of God must return. The miracle calls him to return because it blesses and honors him, even though he may be absent in spirit. Quote, God is not mocked, unquote, is not a warning, but a reassurance. God would be mocked if any of his creations lacked holiness. The creation is whole, and the mark of wholeness is holiness. Miracles are affirmations of sonship, which is a state of completion and abundance. Whatever is true is eternal and cannot change or be changed. Spirit is therefore unalterable because it is already perfect, but the mind can elect what it chooses to serve. The only limit put on its choice is that it cannot serve two masters. If it elects to do so, the mind can become the medium by which spirit creates along the line of its own creation. If it does not freely elect to do so, it retains its creative potential but places itself under tyrannous rather than authoritative control. As a result, it imprisons because such are the dictates of tyrants. To change your mind means to place it at the disposal of true authority. The miracle is a sign that the mind has chosen to be led by me in Christ's service. The abundance of Christ is the natural result of choosing to follow him. All shallow roots must be uprooted because they are not deep enough to sustain you. The illusion that shallow roots can be deepened and thus made to hold is one of the distortions on which the reverse of the golden rule rests. As these false underpinnings are given up, the equilibrium is temporarily experienced as unstable. However, nothing is less stable than an upside-down orientation, nor can anything that holds it upside down be conducive to increased stability. Okay. That was, once again, a mouthful. That was a whole lot. I would just say, from now being a student of A Course in Miracles for about 10 years, this does make sense to me. I will not say that I fully, completely understand it. And again, I would say I highly doubt that anyone fully has a grasp of A Course in Miracles. But having been a student of the Course, I can see the consistency of what the author here, Jesus, is the claim that it's Jesus that came through Helen Schuckman, and was dictating through this rapid inner dictation. Helen was receiving this message. Whether you think that it's Jesus or not, I mean, it might be helpful to think it's Jesus if that's helpful for you, and it doesn't have to be Jesus. I would say, as has been said, that it's love, it's formless love that that Helen understood to be Jesus, because that was the symbol for her of pure, unconditional, formless love, or love in form, actually, would be Jesus for her. So, and she knew the King James Bible. So there's several quotes from the King James Bible here, like God is not mocked. You cannot serve two masters. There's also, except you become as little children. Let's start with the basic premise here. Again, Jesus is talking about miracles, what the miracle is, what it even is the miracle of A Course in Miracles. He's really continuing the discussion of saying that the miracle is a means to an end. and the end is the oneness of the Son with God, you know. And sometimes he says the Son, sometimes he says the children of God, the sons of God, which makes it difficult to understand is what does it mean to be one with God? And does it mean that there still is separation? Like we're all the sons, you know, like maybe angelic beings that are one with God? Or is it more non-dualistic in the sense that we merge back into the Godhead, so to speak, and we become that formless love that you know is really talked about actually in the Course. The Course never uses the term non-duality, which people that say that the Course is not a non-dualistic presentation, they will say, well, Jesus never says non-duality, he never uses that term. And the term non-duality is a direct translation of the Sanskrit Advaita, which means not two or non-dual. And there is a lot to be said that the Advaita Vedanta, which is the non-dual philosophy of Vedanta, which comes from goes back to the Upanishads in the Hindu tradition, that the Course is echoing that to a large extent. I would personally say that seems to be the case. But anyway, that's a lot. You know, that's a whole nother discussion. But let's just say that the miracle is like the body, in that both are learning aids for facilitating a state which is no longer necessary. So at least Jesus seems to be saying that we are not our body, right? We ultimately will transcend the body in that recognition of our oneness with God. And that is a theme throughout the Course. Okay. The other thing that is connected to that is the miracle. Somehow, A Course in Miracles seems to be presenting this idea of returning to God through our relationship with each other, and how through our relationships with each other, all the seeming separate sons of God, sons and daughters, or if you don't mind just saying sons of God, children of God, that we return to God through our relationships. He talks about the time, the collapse of time, that the miracle worker realizes that you don't have to wait to that you can see each other, you can see the other as yourself in the highest light, meaning you can see the wholeness of your brother. In seeing the wholeness of your brother, which again means brother or sister or anything, animate or inanimate, you see the wholeness of yourself and that is the miracle, that as you see the wholeness, as you see the perfection, then you remember that's what you are, and that there's no need for fear, and all the things that go along with fear. Except you become as little children. Everyone is special in the eyes of God. Everyone is, every being, again, animate and inanimate, is connected to God. We're all, but, this is also saying we can get very far away from that understanding of ourselves. We can get we can really avoid it, really push it away, really get into our pain and suffering, really get into get distant, get into depression, loneliness, hating ourselves. And I would say, it seems to be on a continuum, that we're on that continuum. We all have that to some degree or another. Some people have it more. At some points in our life, we may feel it more. We may feel more at certain points, get very down, very depressed. We may, that's when we may seek some kind of solution. People that do A Course in Miracles will say, or not everyone, but some will say that that the Course is presenting the way out of suffering. It's the way out of fear, out of suffering, the way to dissolve the ego, back to nothing. And everyone is going, this is saying that everyone is going to get there eventually. But for you, the one that is the student of the Course, it can be much sooner if you want. And it, you don't have to wait on anyone else. It's all about you and about your choice and what you choose. Spirit is already perfect. From where we are right now, it's all about choosing to see ourselves as spirit versus anything else. Love versus the loveless is the way it puts it. We can put ourselves under the rule of the ego, or we can follow the ego, or we could follow the voice of love, the voice of spirit, the Holy Spirit. And in doing that, we get closer and closer to the goal of the Course, which is to get back to the oneness with God, and back to the realization of our true self as the Son, as the loving creation of a loving Creator. But let's just say again, now the Course does seem to speak in that dualistic way of Creator and creation. I feel on a deeper level, though, if you do approach the Course in a non-dualistic way, ultimately that is transcended as well. And you realize that the Creator you are one with the Creator. You are the creation and the Creator. And you are everything. I mean, it might not even be, you're no longer there. Your individual, your body, your personality. Anyway, that's something ongoing discussion about all of this. The one last thing to say here is that many people, and this is what I think Jesus is getting at the end of this passage, which is that many people that start on a spiritual path, things get worse, at first. It's not easy, and many people experience a wonderful, when they get into spirituality, it's beautiful, it's blissful, and then at some point there might be the dark night of the soul that happens, or it might get worse right away off the bat. And Jesus says here at the end, all false underpinning, as these false underpinnings are given up, the equilibrium is temporarily experienced as unstable. However, nothing less stable than an upside down orientation. So from where we are now, we are in that upside down orientation. As we get right side up, things might be unstable at first, and it might get difficult, it might get challenging. We might want to give up. all sorts of things could happen. But to remember that things might have to get worse before they get better, and they will get better. And we just have to persevere, be dedicated on the path. And that might be it for tonight. That's a long video. So I think we'll leave it there, and we'll come back and do the next section, the illusion of needs, next time. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed the video, please like it. If you would like to subscribe, that helps. And let's see what else. Please leave a comment, feedback, anything that you would like to share. I'm also open if you have a question that you want me to talk about. Not that I don't put myself out as an expert or anything about this. I don't think, especially not with the course that there are experts. I have been doing it for a while though, so I can speak to certain topics if you would like. So just let me know. So, all right. Thank you.